Well, every year, thousands of pilgrims make their way to the annual Berkshire Hathaway General Meeting. They're looking for valuable investment insight from the Sage of Omaha. This year was different because I was also there, and it was awesome, and I'm exhausted and jet-lagged and a bit grumpy. This is the Moneymakers. I'm Bruce Whitfield. I'm joined on Skype by a regular Omaha pilgrim who joins me from Koh Samui in Thailand. This is not going to help my jet lag or grumpiness one little bit. He's been there 17 times out of the last 18 years. He's the founding fund manager at Aylett. Walter Aylett, he joins me to discuss valuable lessons from investing in Berkshire Hathaway. I didn't see you there, Walter. Where were you?
I was there. I've got some witnesses if you want, but I got used to doing this quite a lot, so I keep a low profile now.
It's an incredible experience. I mean, I don't know what time you were up on Saturday morning. I was up at 4. I was about number 100 in the particular queue that I chose and stood there until 6:45 when the doors open. And then all hell breaks loose when little old ladies elbow their way to the front and behave like it's Black Friday sales.
That's right. That's right. But it's all part of the experience. It's it's part of your pilgrimage, as you call it, and you sit in the crowd and you'll be amazed how many times you see the same people every year. There's a guy called George from Kuwait who's now immigrated to Australia, and I've bumped into him 3 different times in the same place at the same time.
It is extraordinary. I mean, just to describe to people what it's like, this is a basketball stadium. It's got capacity inside the stadium for about 25,000 people. There's the spillover rooms. There's a huge fair on the side where Berkshire Hathaway companies sell their products at discount to shareholders, and that's a bun fight of epic proportions. To bump into anybody you know in that space is quite remarkable. But you go with a group of people. You take the same people year after year. My question to a group of people I bumped into there, led by Koki Koiman, who you will know, is what did you learn different this year from any of the last 16 or 17 years that you've been going?
Well, I started with Koki when we worked at Coronation, and that's kind of how we started the group, and the group got quite big as we moved on. But, it's not about learning, Bruce. I think it's about reinforcing your behavior of the past few years. You go there to clear the investment windscreen, reset the compass to true north. And just to remind yourself of, what you do for a living. Initially, I think we all were trying to find the holy grail to investing. But in truth, it's more about how you live your life, how you treat your clients' money, and how you think about how you operate an investment operation.
So what makes
it reinforces good behavior.
Sure. I mean, what makes Berkshire Hathaway so remarkable in that respect, then?
We're owners. That's how simple it is. I've been an owner since '99. And it's paid for my kids to go to university, and we're owners. It's that simple. We're not there just as wannabes.
I mean, the local Omaha newspaper, which Warren Buffett owns, was showing 1968 one Berkshire Hathaway share could buy you 76 Big Macs. 10 years later, it could get you 4 radial tires and wheel alignment. A couple of years later, it would get you a disc, a John Deere disc, and by 1988, you could have bought yourself a small house for $70,000. And by 1998, by the time you invested, you could have got 2 pickup trucks, 2 Chevy pickup trucks. Now you can get a 4-year education with 1 share at Harvard, including books and accommodation. I mean, it's been an exponential growth story, one in which you've participated. Now, you say that it's not your only investment, obviously, but what do you get from listening to the wisdom of the guy behind the magic that is Berkshire Hathaway?
Well, as I say, he's very consistent. He's worked out those principles at a very early age in life, and his story just never changes. And so then what I get out of it is that you've got to work out what your principles are, and principles can't change. For every action, there's an opposite reaction. That's a scientific principle. So you're trying to find these principles that don't change, that work for you. And the lesson that I get is just keep on applying them consistently. Don't try and change them. When the pressure's on you and performance is not so good, remind yourself of those principles. Remind yourself of Mr. Market and the maniac that Mr. Market can be, and take advantage of Mr. Market. And that's what I get out of it.
It's a rough quote of Charlie Munger's from Saturday when he was saying we've picked all the low-hanging fruit and now we have to look further up the branches. I mean, isn't that a change in philosophy, a change in practice?
No, they've been very clear right up front about the size issue. They were big. They've warned us consistently that their returns over the years will go down. And I think on balance, all we do is we expect them is just to beat the market. We don't expect much more than that. It's a great proxy for the S&P. And I think Charlie got it right where he said, I'd rather invest in Berkshire than the S&P ETF. And that's how I think about Berkshire today.
But isn't that such an interesting dichotomy as well? Because here's Warren Buffett, who at the age of 87 is beginning to think about his wife and is beginning to think about what her life might be like once he's gone. And he's telling the trustees of his estate to basically put 90% of her inheritance into the S&P, whereas Charlie Munger is very keen to continue seeing investment going into Berkshire Hathaway. These are the co-founders, the business partners, the best buds who run this business.
Yeah, well, I think Charlie's got it right, and I think he's smarter than Warren. So. I think it's a good topic, though, Bruce. And I think we fund managers have got to take it a bit more seriously. In South Africa, we've beaten the index handsomely. Well, certainly my business has for the last 11 years. But I think offshore it is definitely more competitive, and we've got to come back. We've got to come to the point and try and explain why we think we add value. And I think Warren's got it right.
Well, Warren's got it right, or Charlie's got it right?
Well, I think Charlie's got it right in that Berkshire will do better than the S&P.
Right.
But if you don't understand Berkshire and you like his wife, I don't think the S&P is a bad option.
All right. I mean, but from a fund manager point of view, then you've got to really start justifying why people are paying you the fees they pay you. I'm sure they're very reasonable, and I'm sure they're very happy, Walter. But increasingly, as it becomes more and more difficult to make money, as we see the JSE on a trot along with global markets, with the VIX index down to the lowest level since 1993, as it is right now, it becomes quite a difficult space to invest, doesn't it?
No, I don't think. To the contrary, I think investing in South Africa is not as hard as investing offshore. And I've been doing offshore investing for 25 years. And, our equity fund has beaten the all share by 90% over 11 years. And the reason why we've beaten it is simply that our clients allow us to invest for the long term. They don't put pressure on us. And I think the problem with the investment world is everyone is so short-term focused. They won't allow you to act rationally. And I don't know if you remember that one quote of Charlie's where he said, we just do rational things, and while other people are trying to be brilliant. And I think that's the trick, is just to remind yourself that this is a long-term story, and if you're allowed to be rational, you will beat the market. But offshore, it's a lot harder. There's no doubt about it. And the way I've tried to deal with it is I've put all my money with my clients, so I've tried to treat myself as if I am a client. I don't allow my staff or myself to buy shares. We have to buy the funds we've been doing this from day one. That solves a lot of problems. And if we don't beat the market, what's the point?
I mean, that's a great philosophy while things are going well. You haven't yet experienced a downtime. You haven't yet experienced underperformance, I take it. I mean, does that worry you?
At the moment, I'm about 8% below the market. It doesn't bother me one bit because I'm not underperforming the market. I'm underperforming because I don't own Naspers and I don't care about Naspers or Richmond. I'm willing to wait. And in the past, I have underperformed by 15%, but it all came back plus more. And you don't beat the market by 90% by trying to buy the market. You've got to do something differently. And you've got to be willing to take career risk, which means doing what's right for clients and not what's right for your business.
I mean, this is so interesting.
And that's tough.
It's so interesting, though, because there's this concept of FOMO, the fear of missing out. And on Saturday at the Berkshire Hathaway meeting, Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett were sort of berating each other for missing two great investment opportunities. One was Google and one was Amazon. Google, they missed, even though their insurance business Geico was a client of Google's, and they were paying $10 a click to get advertising through Google ads, and they still didn't see the opportunity there. The other one was they just didn't think that Jeff Bezos at Amazon.com could pull it off, and he did. And so they're sitting there going, you know what, we really missed out. We're really grumpy that we missed out. But it's okay that we missed out.
Well, that's it. And I think I'd rather have errors of omission than errors of commission. And, at Aylett & Co, we've had very few errors of commission. It's been one of opportunity. I mean, we should have bought Naspers a long time ago, but we didn't. And you will make those mistakes. And, I mean, Warren missed Walmart as well, and that cost him $1 billion. So I just think it's part of the game. You've got to acknowledge that you can't cover everything. You don't want to cover everything. And there will be things that, in hindsight, you'll look back and say, oh, I missed it. That's part of the game.
And to quote Charlie Munger once again, you just got to make more good decisions than bad decisions, and you will outperform the market.
Yeah, and sometimes it's only one decision every 2-3 years. You don't have to make 10, 15 decisions a year. You know, there's this most fund managers turn over their portfolios by 100% per annum. That, in my mind, is just not very valuable. I mean, our funds don't change less than 15% per annum.
I mean, is that a problem with incentive structures? Is that a problem with people wanting to be seen to look busy and to do their jobs, rather than, and I mean, if you saw the Buffett, the Buffett movie, which was released a week or two, I think it was an HBO movie, Becoming Buffett, how his diary has got 1 or 2 appointments in, a Charlie Rose interview, I think it was, where he's got 1 or 2 appointments in for the week ahead, because he just doesn't fill his diary with looking busy. He is busy, he's just not seen to be busy.
Yeah, and he says no a lot. So he sits in his office doing what he loves. And I think if we fund managers could do that, and stop worrying about the quarterly figures and stop trying to be brilliant, because most fund managers in South Africa, I think, are pretty good. But I think what happens is their clients and the whole incentive scheme does not allow them to be long-term in their investing. If you go look at their personal portfolios, you'll probably find they've done really well. And that's where, for me, that's quite interesting. They're not eating their own cooking.
Well, Aylett, thank you so much for joining us on holiday in Thailand. The founding fund manager at Aylett & Co. Fund Management Company, outperforming the JSE very substantially over the last decade, and using the philosophy, of course, of Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger. Charlie Munger, he says, is smarter than Warren. I think Warren would probably agree with that. Thank you so much for watching. Lots more pearls of wisdom on future Moneymakers. For now, have a very good evening. Good night.